been a massive day in New South Wales politics. We've had two major bombshells, both in New South Wales politics and in Victoria. I'll get to that in just a short moment. But just recapping, New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian was very firm in that press conference, was very firm when she fronted ICAC today, saying she will not resign from her position following an inquiry into her private relationship with disgraced former MP Daryl Maguire. I want to bring in Sky News political editor Andrew Clennell now. It's been one hell of a day. Were you as stunned as I was when you started to hear some of the evidence before ICAC earlier?
Yeah, I wondered if I was going to retain consciousness at one point this morning, Chris. I was that flabbergasted by it. Absolutely shocked. I think the most shocking thing was, I mean, obviously I had no idea she was in a relationship with Daryl Maguire, but to continue that relationship after you sacked him and he was found to, basically the allegations were clear that he was potentially corrupt. For someone who trades on being such a clean skin was just one of the most staggering stories I've ever come across, frankly.
The kinds of behaviour you'd accept from a risk taker, but you and I know...
There's plenty of them in politics.
You bet, but Gladys Berejiklian is the antithesis of that. She's not a risk taker. Many people call her a straighty 180. She's as much as that. But when you have a disgraced Daryl Maguire being forced to resign from the parliament and the party, and then she knows a little bit more than everyone else knows, and you're still with him, it is inconceivable.
Yeah, I think it is inconceivable. I don't buy all the lines that Gladys Berejiklian is spinning there. I notice a tweet from Jodie McKay, the opposition leader in New South Wales, Jodie McKay, who says, I'm a woman too, but the difference is I understand integrity. I don't think Gladys Berejiklian as Premier should be able to play the victim card or just say, just forgive me for a bad relationship choice. Look, Gladys Berejiklian can have a relationship with whoever she wants. She can have an affair with whoever she wants. Knock yourself out. But what you've got here is phone tap evidence that she knew this guy was up to no good. In my view, completely inappropriate behaviour for an MP, lobbying on behalf of developers. She's in an intimate personal relationship with him. They're discussing his business interests. Some would say there's not a smoking gun because there's not the decision. Well, that's what her people were saying. It's not proven she made a decision that helped him, but it's a terrible look. She shouldn't have been condoning that behaviour. So basically she's out there telling us now that it's OK for MPs to lobby for developers and get a cut. Yeah, now, if you're going to have a corrupt society, that's how you're going to have it.
Yeah.
So if that's all right, and Gladys Berejiklian wants to get up there and tell us that she's all about integrity, good luck, because I'm not buying what she's selling.
Yeah, what do you think ICAC is up to here? They've obviously proved today that there was a conflict of interest. At the very least, there was a conflict of interest. We haven't heard any evidence of corruption, that what she was pressured through conversations with Daryl Maguire didn't eventuate in any kind of decision being made, but she put herself in that conflict of interest, didn't she?
I think there's an issue around the code of conduct and declarations for her, and I think there's that they were trying to get her to mislead, to give misleading evidence. They were trying to trap her to give misleading evidence because they have a genuine belief that she hasn't acted as a Premier should.
Yeah. These tapes were intercepted in 2017 when ICAC was tailing Maguire. I want to play the first of three in which Maguire's achievements for a developer was celebrated by Gladys Berejiklian. Have a listen.
So if you have a look at that message, good news, one of my contacts sold a motel for 5.8 million. I had put her in context so I should make 5K. See that there? Mm-hmm. And you say, congrats, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, great news, exclamation mark, woohoo. See that there?
Yes, I do.
And then there's an exchange of emails where you're inquiring about how that commission is worked out, etc. And you ask whether it's 0.1%, etc. And ultimately say, great stuff, exclamation mark. See that there?
Yes, I do.
So, Andrew, on one hand, the Premier kept saying she didn't pay too much attention to Maguire's boasts or money he was out to get or money he'd need to find to pay off a large debt. But it doesn't sound like that to me when she says, woohoo.
They talked about it all the time, and it was put to her that there was a belief that after Maguire retired at the 2019 election, their relationship could go public. I guess in that situation his money would be her money in any sort of legal de facto arrangement. Maybe that's a bit of a stretch because it didn't happen, but that's the concern here, Chris.
Yeah. Another phone recording involves Maguire's intention to go to China to confront those that he was connected with. The government wasn't keen and the Premier was rather curious.
I just got home.
That's good.
Did Sarah ring you from my office?
No way.
Huh?
No way.
Oh, she sent me a text because whenever she has to ring a member of parliament, she lets me know.
Mm.
Apparently, Niall Blair's rung her to say, "Tell Daryl not to worry. I'm raising the issue on his behalf in China."
Good.
And I said, "Well, what's that got to do with us?" And Sarah said, "Oh, they want us to tell him so that he doesn't go off his brain in China against all these people because the minister's promised to fix it for him."
No, but the issue is that what they've done is they promised to raise it. They're not going to fix it.
And they seem to think it's in your electorate. I didn't say anything. I just said,
it's
let me know how it goes.
But the issue is this. So they're going to invite them all, have a round table, yada, yada, yada. That's right. So what I've said is, well, I'm going anyway. I'll be there the day before. So I'll light a fire. Oh. And the problem is, they're all that scared of me now, and they don't know what I'll do. So whether I'll just go feral or whatever.
I think that's what they're worried about, and I'm worried about it.
So, Andrew Clennell, does it sound from that the Premier is doing Daryl Maguire's bidding?
She's advising him on how he'd handle a situation with government.
Yep. And on Maguire...
They're all the same, aren't they, mate, politicians, you know? That's what I can't help thinking about this story.
Yeah, I think if anyone in the Parliament had mentioned Gladys Berejiklian putting herself in such a conflict of interest position for so long, I just think you know nothing. And on Maguire's dealings at the Badgerys Creek Second Airport site, he was sweating on a deal which would have paid off his $1.59 million debt. Have a listen.
Was it your understanding, as at the 5th of September 2017, that Mr Maguire first was involved in Badgerys Creek stuff, and secondly, that Mr Maguire thought that if the Badgerys Creek stuff was successful, he would earn enough money to pay off his debts? Was that your understanding as at the 5th of September 2017?
All I can confirm is that's what he said to me.
I was going to invest some of it in a new shed. So, but I can't write that off. I need to find a way to just write off $20,000 straight away to reduce my tax. So I just have to work that all out. I can find a way to do it for next tax time. And, I'll be all right if we do this deal with William, gets this deal done at Badgerys Creek, then I won't have to worry about it.
Andrew, she had two other choices. She could have said to him, don't talk to me about any of this stuff.
Yes.
On the Premier, or she could have said, we're finished. I can't go through with this. There's a conflict of interest. But she didn't do either.
No.
So will she survive?
Well, I think you've summed it up well, haven't you? And I think people should get past the noise and listen to the evidence. I think in the short term she'll survive. She's got the biggest rival out there backing her today, Dominic Perrottet. But I'll tell you what's dangerous for Gladys Berejiklian, Chris. Daryl Maguire gives 3 days of evidence starting tomorrow, and she's just said she's basically ashamed of their relationship on the record and said she made a bad choice in her personal life. How do you reckon that's going to go when he goes up to give evidence? We'll see. And
will he value and still remain loyal to their 15 years of communication and friendship? Andrew Constance was one of many ministers. We had Brad Hazzard this afternoon, as you say, Dominic Perrottet, but also Andrew Constance had this to say about his boss an hour ago.
A heart of gold, and she's my friend, and I'm proud of that. And I'm proud of the Premier that she is, and will continue to be, and that's what matters.
From what you're hearing, are they all on Dominic Perrottet, Brad Hazzard's and Andrew Constance's page, or is the caucus, the government, a little bit divided about what occurred today?
Well, plenty would say Andrew Constance wanted a knife for a year ago to be Premier himself. I mean, you know what politicians say publicly and privately. And look, I mean, a couple have spoken to me privately about how they're very, very concerned about these allegations, and I think some people are advising her to at least stand aside until ICAC report it, as Neville Wran did in terms of a Royal Commission, and she elected not to do so. She wants to fight her way through. But what really jarred for me in the press conference when she spoke about integrity and how she's keen to uphold that when she's been hiding so much from us in terms of her relationship and dealings with this character, Chris.
Andrew Clennell, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, this won't be the only day we talk about this one. An absolute bombshell, and as she said when she fronted the media late this afternoon, outside of State Parliament, one of the hardest days of my life.